variation is simple use of language. And I go back to the very simple word day, and we learn that the Hebrew translation for day is the same way we read a 24-hour period today. Yom is the Hebrew word for day. There's no, abstract definitions of that. Excuse me. It means a 24-hour period. And people will often sprint to that verse who try to defend the old earth theory of, well, the Bible says that, one day is like 1,000 years with the Lord, or 1,000 years is just one day with the Lord, and that's really just a hyperbole, really, just an exaggeration. It's not saying as that is exactly how it is, and to me that's a poor argument to argue for an older theory, because there's lots of hyperboles like that throughout the Bible. And of course there's another fun word, hypocatastasis, which is where it's like an exaggeration, but it's not. Peter and Jesus were talking, and when Peter told Jesus that he would not allow anything to happen to him at the hands of the Romans and the Sanhedrin, Jesus said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Obviously, Jesus didn't really mean that Peter was Satan, but it was a way of saying that Peter had things of Satan in mind as opposed to the things of the Lord. So, most people, even people who might be considered novices in terms of the Bible, would probably agree that it was obvious Jesus didn't really mean that Peter was Satan. It's amazing what they'll take, though, other verses, what they'll take and run with, to conflate, some teachings in the Bible. Use of language. Some allege discrepancies occur because of the way that language has changed. Some allege discrepancies occur because of the way that language has changed. It is interesting that while Hebrew has changed very little over the centuries, English is a language undergoing constant major change. The study of how English has altered is fascinating. Though outside the scope of this chapter, as an aside, we can easily see how different strands of English have developed in different ways. The best example of this is the divergence between British and American English, a source of tremendous scope for misunderstanding, one-upmanship, and humor. Or is it humor, as you see there, humor spelled H-U-M-O-U-R, because I think color was also, I believe color is also spelled that way in Britain too, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I'll take something very extreme here. Look how the word gay has changed. Well, you talk about a real corrupt, a corrupt correction.
A corruption of the language. Yeah.
Yes, because you read some old poets, they use the word gay a lot, and it just means happy.
Well, just the Flintstones. They're going to have a gay old time.
Yes.
And that hasn't been that long ago.
No, 60s, right? 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's no doubt something to take into account. I know there's some other words they just won't come to mind, but if you can help me out here, what are some other words that have like changed over time that, I mean, maybe they still have a similar meaning, but nonetheless are different in their usage today?
Well, they didn't have automobiles,
Yeah.
so we've had to coin words.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And using auto meaning self-propelling.
Yeah.
Airplanes, so the space age.
Yeah.
And then now they're spaced out. So, which I guess is a run from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got new slang words every generation.
Oh, yeah.
Or half generations even.
That's true.
Different classes use different words.
Yeah.
And and they may not mean the same, but from one group to the other. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, so it seems like I know most of us in here growing up, most of our teachers hated when we used the word ain't. I ain't gonna do that. But
well, that's been around a long time. That was even around when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. And, I just remember it didn't even matter the class either. It could be the math teacher, and the math teacher would say, "Don't use the word ain't. It isn't or aren't."
Well, even your spell check doesn't.
Yeah.
I saw something on Facebook. How do you console an English distraught, some kind of teacher? There, and they use all three versions of the word.
Yeah.
They are, they over there, and theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, because I've been bringing up the word apologetics. So when I type that word, I get the red squiggly line. It doesn't.
They don't want you to use that word.
Probably. But yeah, that's that verse I used, 1 Peter 3:15. Defense literally means, apologetics, defense of your faith. So yeah, that's interesting too, because you hear occasionally on the news they'll say, "Well, you're a Russian apologist." That's the big thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Today, but
that
I am somewhat too a Russian apologist because
I think that sort of took her down. She took herself down coming out against those people like that. So.
Yeah. Well, I've Putin said to Obama when they accused him of being immoral. Putin said, "Well, look what you guys have done with the whole LGBT."
Yeah, really, and abortion.
Yeah, that too. And Putin is actually trying to curb.
Yeah, he's very moral compared to some of our leaders.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it just comes down to that this is a completely different culture, and he gets viewed as a dictator, and I think he might be to some degree, but
that's all they've ever had.
Right.
Of one stripe or another.
They
all
don't.
they've ever had.
The rest of the world doesn't think like us, and maybe that's the best thing right now. When communism was overthrown, I mean, they were even more in poverty than what they were under communism there for a number of years. And really, I think Putin
had
a big part of getting
realign their supply lines or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just going to finish up with this last thought, because we are going to go in and we're going to talk a little bit about you know, how the language has changed since 1611. But I always, you know, I like to think though too of when Bible was completed. I always like to think of William Tyndale, because many people say that the King James Version really should be called the Tyndale Bible,
Probably.
because they used a lot of his.
Mhm.
He's done so much groundwork.
85% of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say for tonight. Is there any other questions, comments, insults?
I'll turn this off for the insults.